The sun is still low when Ava Morgan turns into the dealership lot. The glass front of the building shines softly, and banners flap above a row of polished cars. She parks a company demo car, steps out, and takes a slow breath. She is dressed in a simple cardigan, dark jeans, and comfortable shoes. Her hair is pulled back. She wears no company pin today and carries only a slim phone and a small notebook. She has visited many of her stores, but this morning she chooses not to announce herself. She wants to see the place as any customer would see it. She wants to feel the floor, hear the tone, and read the room without warning. Inside, the showroom hums with quiet motion. Phones ring. A printer clicks. Someone laughs near the coffee stand near the entrance. A framed poster hangs on the wall by the front desk. The words are large and plain, "Respect every customer." Ava looks at it for a second longer than normal, as if she is taking a photo with her mind. A receptionist lifts her eyes and gives a polite smile. "Good morning," she says. "Welcome." Ava returns the smile and says she is here to ask about a service check and also a test drive. The receptionist taps her keyboard and says, "One moment, I'll get a manager." She stands and signals toward a glass office where a man in a fitted jacket is looking at a tablet. The man is Derek, the store manager. He moves with quick, clipped steps and stops at the desk without quite meeting Ava's eyes. "Yes? How can we help?" His tone is neutral, like he is already busy with something else. Ava explains clearly, in a calm voice, that she would like a routine service check on the car she drove in and, if possible, a test drive of the new high-end model that faces the window. She points to it. Derek glances that way and then back to his tablet. "Service is booked for weeks," he says. "Test drives are by appointment only. We have to protect inventory." He does not ask her name. He does not ask what issues the car may have. He simply turns slightly, like he might walk away. Ava keeps her voice gentle. She asks what the earliest service slot might be and whether there is a cancellation list. She asks if a short test drive could be arranged later in the day. Her questions are practical. She is not trying to make trouble. She simply wants to see the process. Derek exhales, still checking his tablet. "It's a busy day," he says. "If you want something more budget-friendly, you might try the used lot across town. They do walk-ins." He gives a tight smile that does not reach his eyes. It is a small moment, but Ava feels it. The words land heavier than they should. From the sales floor, a young associate named Nora steps nearer. She is holding a stack of brochures and seems eager to help. "I can check for a short demo slot," she offers. "Or I can pull up service cancellations." She is careful, respectful, and her eyes meet Ava's with warmth. Before Ava can reply, Derek lifts his hand in a small stop sign. "It's fine, Nora," he says. "We're protecting vehicles. Don't overbook." Nora shifts her weight. She lowers her brochures and nods, but her eyes stay on Ava in an apologetic way. Ava thanks Nora anyway. The kindness matters. Even small kindness matters. Ava asks if she may sit for a few minutes to think about options. Derek nods. "Sure. Coffee's over there," he says, pointing. He is already moving away. Ava walks to the lounge area and pours a small cup. From her seat, she can see the reception desk, the showroom line, and the service bay door that opens and closes with a soft swoosh. She takes out her small notebook. She writes the time. She writes what she asked for. She writes Derek's words, as close as she can remember them. She is not angry. She is disappointed, but her mind is steady. She wants a clear picture. She wants to understand what is happening, not what she fears might be happening. A man in a neat suit enters from outside, no appointment paper in his hand. He smiles wide and walks straight to Derek. There is no waiting. Derek greets him with an easy laugh and offers a handshake. Ava watches the body language. It is open and fast. She hears Derek say, "We can get you into that model for a quick spin. Keys should be ready." It takes less than 5 minutes for the man to be invited to test drive the same high-end model Ava asked about. Nora glances toward Ava, just for a second, and then looks away. Ava writes the time again. She writes walk-in offered test drive. Facts first. Feelings second. Ava stands and walks toward the service bay. The air smells like rubber and clean oil. A senior technician named Luis steps forward, wiping his hands. "Good morning," he says with a kind face. "How can I help?" Ava explains that she asked for a basic check but was told it is booked. She asks if there is any way to look at a warning light that flickered the night before. Luis listens fully. He nods and says, "I'd like to help. I just need manager approval for any add-on today." His voice is honest, and there is no edge in it. He looks back toward the showroom as if to say, "I'm not the one making the rules, but I want to do right." Ava thanks him. Kindness matters again. She can feel the difference between a closed door and a careful one. Back in the lounge, Ava opens the dealership website on her phone. It is the same site all customers use. She fills in a form to request a same-day test drive, using her first name and her usual phone number. The page spins and returns a message, "No slots available today." She sets her phone down. Then she opens the same form again and enters a different name, one she uses when testing systems, and a different company phone that forwards to her assistant. She chooses the same car and the same hours. The page spins and then returns a confirmation, "We'll call you shortly to confirm your time." Ava notes the results in her notebook. It is not proof by itself, but it is a puzzle piece that fits too neatly to ignore. An older customer with a soft scarf and bright eyes sits down near Ava. She leans in and speaks in a quiet tone. "I've come here a few times," she says, "and sometimes I feel invisible until someone more important arrives." She holds up her phone. "I try to keep notes, just for myself. It helps me remember what was said." She gives a small smile, the kind that is friendly but tired. Ava listens with full attention. She thanks the woman for sharing and offers her a fresh cup of water. "You deserve to be seen," Ava says simply. The woman nods and pats Ava's hand. "You, too," she says, not knowing who Ava is. Ava's phone buzzes with a call from her executive assistant, Jenna. Ava answers and lowers her voice. "Hold my calls this morning," she says gently. "I'm on the floor." She does not add more. Jenna understands the tone. It is the tone Ava uses when she is watching closely. When Ava hangs up, she looks again at the big poster near the door, "Respect every customer." She thinks about the early days when she and a tiny team built this brand from a small, rented lot. She remembers the first time a customer said, "You treated me like a person." That sentence shaped a policy, and that policy became a promise. Ava is careful with promises. She knows a promise is kept in small, daily choices, not just in public statements or pretty frames on the wall. Nora passes by with brochures again and pauses. "I'm sorry," she says softly. "I can put your name on the list if you want." She glances toward Derek's office, then back at Ava. "I just don't want you to feel brushed off." Ava thanks her. "It's okay," she says. "You're doing your best." Ava sees the effort. She also sees the fear behind it, the fear of stepping beyond a manager's mood. She writes one more note, "Staff wants to do right. System blocks it." She underlines it, once. A few minutes later, the neat suit customer returns from his test drive laughing with Derek about the engine sound. "Felt great," he says. "Let's talk numbers." Derek claps him on the shoulder and leads him to a glass desk. Ava watches the glass door close. She looks at the receptionist, who looks back at her with a small, uncertain frown. The room is not loud, but the message is loud enough. Some doors open easily here. Some do not. Ava closes her notebook. She has enough to move forward. She walks to the front desk again with steady steps. "Could I please speak to whoever is in charge?" she asks in the same calm voice she used earlier. The receptionist glances toward Derek's office and starts to rise. Derek appears at once, as if pulled by a string. "The owner isn't available for walk-ins," he says before the receptionist can answer. His tone is clipped, final. He holds his tablet like a shield. Ava looks at him and lets a small, patient smile touch her face. Her voice stays soft and even. "We'll see about that," she says. The receptionist blinks. Nora stops moving, just for a second. Luis looks up from the service bay as if he heard something shift in the air. Ava does not raise her voice. She does not list her titles. She simply stands there, the same woman in a cardigan who walked in at sunrise. But now there is a quiet clarity in her eyes, the kind that comes from facts written in a small notebook, from careful listening, and from a promise made years ago about how every customer should be treated. The showroom feels different in a way most people cannot name yet. It is the feeling of a turning point, waiting at the edge of words. Ava stays near the lounge with her small cup of coffee and her notebook open on her lap. She is not hiding. She is simply quiet and present, like a customer who has time to think. From this seat, she can see the front door, the reception desk, the showroom line of cars, and a piece of the service bay through the window. She writes the time in neat digits. Then she looks up and watches, not for drama, but for patterns. A man in a golf shirt comes in and says he wants a quick look at a mid-range model for his daughter. He has no appointment card in his hand, yet he is greeted with energy and led to a salesperson right away. Ava writes "walk in, welcomed, no delay." She breathes slowly. She is not trying to prove something wrong. She is checking if the promise on the wall is the practice on the floor. The older woman in the scarf, the one who spoke kindly to Ava earlier, returns from the restroom and sits 2 chairs away. She has a calm face and warm eyes. "You taking notes too?" she asks with a gentle smile. Ava smiles back. "Just trying to understand how things work here," she says. The older woman nods as if she has heard that before. "I've seen this place on good days," she says, "and on days when kindness seems to be in short supply." She does not sound angry. She sounds like someone who wants things to be fair. Ava appreciates that tone. She asks the woman how long she has been waiting in general when she comes here. The woman says sometimes she waits past her scheduled time while others are moved forward. "I always tell myself, maybe there is a good reason," she adds. "But I notice who gets the good reasons." Ava writes that down word for word. It matters. Near the front desk, a digital cue board lists service tickets by first name and initial. The words "check-in," "in progress," and "ready" sit in colored boxes. Ava stands and moves closer, as if to read a menu in a cafe. She notes the order of names. She notes the times. She sees one name jump from check-in to "in progress" even though 3 names above it have not moved yet. She writes the time again. She writes the exact movement. Then she returns to her seat and lets the minutes pass. A delivery driver drops off parts, jokes with the tech, and leaves. The automatic doors whisper open and closed. A young mother arrives with a stroller and asks for a quick tire check before a long drive. The receptionist is polite but firm. "We are booked, please schedule online." The young mother thanks her and hesitates. "Even just to look?" she asks. The receptionist glances toward the glass office. "I'm sorry," she says. The mother nods and leaves, pushing the stroller back into the bright morning. Ava stands and approaches Derek's office door. She knocks gently and steps inside when he waves a hand. He is still holding his tablet. Can I have your business card? Ava asks in a calm tone. And also a copy of your service policy for walk-ins and test drives. Derek looks faintly surprised, like few people ask for these things. He reaches into a drawer, pulls out a generic card that lists the dealership number without names, and slides a folded flyer across the desk. The flyer is a broad marketing piece with basic store hours and a line about appointments preferred. It does not explain order of service, exceptions, or how to handle urgent but simple checks. This is what we have, he says, turning slightly back to his screen. Any other questions? Ava thanks him and asks if the detailed policy is posted anywhere. It's all online, he replies without checking. Our system keeps it fair. Ava nods and leaves the office. She writes generic flyer, no posted rule, system keeps it fair in her notebook. Nora passes by again, moving carefully, always with those brochures. She pauses, lowers her voice, and asks if Ava wants water or a fresh coffee. Ava smiles and says she is fine, but thanks her sincerely. Nora hesitates. She looks toward Derek's office and then back at Ava. I'm sorry if you felt, she says, trying to find gentle words. It's just, we try to focus on buyers who look ready. She speaks slowly, as if she is stepping through a narrow doorway. I was told not to waste time when things are busy. She looks genuinely conflicted, like someone who wants to help but has learned where the walls are. Ava does not push her. I appreciate your honesty, she says. You've been kind. Nora's face relaxes a little. Small truth is still truth. At the service bay window, Ava spots Luis, the senior technician who greeted her earlier. He is consulting a repair order with another tech and pointing to a checklist on a tablet. His movements are steady and careful. A customer wearing work boots comes in and asks if his truck can get a quick look today. He has tools in the back and needs to be on a site by noon. Luis looks toward the office, sees Derek talking to the golf shirt customer, and tells the man softly, I need manager approval for any add-on today, but I'll ask. He walks to the office door, waits politely, and then steps back when Derek waves him off without a look. Luis returns to the customer and apologizes. I can put you first thing tomorrow, he offers. The man sighs but thanks him. Ava watches all of this and writes tech wants to help, blocked at approval. Ava returns to the online forms on her phone. She opens the same-day test drive request again with her real first name. She picks the same model she asked about earlier. The calendar shows no slots available today. She refreshes once more. Still no slots. Then she opens a new request and uses her test name, the one she uses for audits. She selects the same car and the same time window, late morning. This time, a soft chime sounds and a green banner appears, we have a spot today. A representative will contact you. Ava's face does not change, but her pen does not hesitate. She writes the result and draws a small square around it. She is not interested in making a point. She is interested in making things right. The older woman in the scarf watches Ava writing and leans in again. I once filmed my pickup time, she says shyly. Not to accuse, just to keep a record. She opens her photo gallery, scrolls to a clip, and plays a few seconds. In the video, the woman's voice is soft as she asks if her car is ready at the promised time. A staff member says it will be a bit longer. Then, through the glass, another customer arrives and is greeted like an old friend. The staff member steps away to help him right away. The clip ends. The older woman looks embarrassed to even show it. Maybe there was a real reason, she says, but it didn't feel good. Ava thanks her and adds one more careful note, customer witness, time promised versus time delivered, felt ignored. 10 minutes later, the door opens and a couple in weekend clothes comes in, chatting about colors. Derek notices them and walks over with a bright greeting. Let's get you into that test car, he says, picking up keys from the board. He passes within 3 feet of Ava and does not glance at her. The couple laughs and follows him toward the car Ava had pointed to earlier. Nora stays behind, watching with a complicated expression. The receptionist, who has been polite and neutral all morning, looks uncertain for the first time. She glances from Ava to Derek and back again, as if she feels a shift she cannot name. Ava writes one quiet sentence, joy for some guests, nope for others even with same request. Ava decides to ask for the service policy again, this time in writing. She approaches the front desk and says, "Could I have a printed copy of your policy for handling walk-ins and urgent checks? Also, do you have a document that explains how your queue works?" The receptionist tries, she really does. She clicks through a menu that looks like a maze of tabs. She prints a page that says customer care standards at the top, with friendly statements but no process detail. "This is what I can find," she says, looking a little embarrassed. Ava thanks her and takes the page. "You've been very helpful," she says, and she means it. The receptionist relaxes slightly at the kind tone. At that moment, Ava's phone buzzes with a text from Jenna, her executive assistant. The message is simple, "Nearby if you need me." Ava types back, "Please step in." Quiet entrance. A few minutes later, a woman in a neat blazer walks in through the side door, moving like a person who belongs but does not want to interrupt. The receptionist looks up, sees Jenna, and straightens. There is a tiny pause, like the air holds its breath. "Hello," Jenna says with a soft smile. "I'm here to meet a colleague." Her voice is calm, professional, and warm. She does not announce anything more. The receptionist's eyes flick to the glass office, then to the lounge, then back to Jenna. She lowers her voice and asks, "Are you the auditor?" It is not a big question. It is just a small string of words that lands with a thud. The word auditor travels farther than a shout. Nora hears it from the brochure's table and stills for a heartbeat. Luis hears it near the service bay and glances up. Derek does not hear it yet, he is in motion, still riding the good mood of an easy sail. Jenna keeps her smile small and kind. "I'm here to listen," she says. The receptionist presses her lips together, nods once, and offers to bring coffee. Her hands move a little faster now. Ava rises from her chair and steps closer to Jenna, as if greeting a friend in a public place. "Thank you for coming," she says in that even voice Jenna knows well. Jenna nods. "Of course." She looks around the showroom at the poster that says "Respect every customer," at the couples, at the empty seat where the young mother sat earlier, at the cue board with names that moved out of order. Her eyes take everything in without a single dramatic gesture. She is here to watch, to collect, to confirm. A small, calm shift runs through the room. The receptionist speaks more precisely to each guest. Nora keeps her distance from Derek's line of sight, but she starts pulling up the wait list on her tablet anyway, as if preparing for a better process. Luis gathers his team and quietly reviews the day's tickets, checking the order twice. He does not know what will happen next, but he knows what is right: first come, first served, clear reasons for any change, notes that any person could understand if they read them later. Ava feels a rise of sadness for a moment, not heavy, just real. This is her store. These are her people. The promise on the wall is her promise. She lets the sadness pass through and settle into focus. She is here to care for customers and to care for staff who want to do right. Both things can be true at the same time. She closes her notebook and holds it with both hands. When she speaks, her words are still gentle, still simple. "We will ask good questions," she says to Jenna, "and we will listen well." Jenna nods again. Yes. The couple returns from their test drive smiling, and Derek is already telling a quick story about special features. His voice is bright. He turns and finally notices Jenna standing near Ava. His face shifts one shade, then he quickly smooths it. "Can I help you?" he asks, with a careful smile. Jenna opens her small folder and looks at Ava. Ava gives the tiniest nod. There is no drama in it. Just a shared plan. The receptionist watches with wide eyes. Nora hugs her brochures to her chest. Luis wipes his hands and steps a little closer to the showroom door. Ava takes one step forward, not to perform, but to be seen. She is still wearing her cardigan and comfortable shoes. She still holds her simple notebook. She is still the same person who asked politely for a service check and a test drive. But now the room holds a different kind of quiet. Not tense. Not loud. Just attentive, like a class about to begin. Ava speaks to Derek in the same even tone she has used all morning. "I have some questions about today," she says. "I'd like us to go over them together." Derek nods and gestures to the lounge, suddenly very aware of every eye. The older woman in the scarf smiles softly to herself. The receptionist straightens her stack of papers. Nora opens a blank note on her tablet. Luis folds his arms, not in defiance, but in care. Ava lifts her notebook, ready to turn her careful observations into clear, fair steps. She does not need to raise her voice. She does not need to say who she is yet. The next part is not about titles. It is about truth. And as the showroom settles into a listening hush, it feels like the day has finally reached the moment it was moving toward all along. Ava moves with Jenna to a quiet corner of the lounge. Her notebook holds times and short lines. Jenna carries a slim folder. "I have questions about how we welcome guests and schedule service," Ava says gently. "Let's sit together for a few minutes." Derek steps from his glass office with his tablet. "We're in the middle of sales. Can this wait?" "It is important," Ava replies. "It will be brief." They gather in the lounge. Derek sits across from Ava, Nora chooses a seat 2 chairs away, Luis stands behind them. Ava looks at her notes. "At 8:46, I asked for a basic service check and a test drive of the flagship model. I was told service is booked for weeks and that test drives are by appointment only. Is that today's policy?" Derek nods. "Yes. Appointments for high-end models," he says. "We protect inventory and focus on serious buyers." At 9:11, Ava continues, "A walk-in guest was offered a test drive of that same model within minutes. I watched the keys come off the board. Help me understand the difference." Derek shifts. "We sometimes make exceptions," he says. "Some buyers are ready to move." Jenna opens her folder. "Company handbook," she reads. "Test drives are available to every qualified driver on equal terms. Staff must apply the same steps for all guests, with safety checks and clear notes. That is our standard." Ava sets a glossy handout on the table. "I asked for the service policy and received this," she says. "It lists hours but not process or exceptions. Can we show a guest how the queue works and why one car moved ahead of another?" Luis nods. "We have a digital board and an internal log," he says. "We should add notes for any change parts, safety, or urgency. Sometimes the note is missing when the change is informal. Would you open this morning's log?" Ava asks Derek. He hesitates, then tilts his tablet to Jenna. She scrolls. "Here," she says, "a ticket at 9:28 jumped ahead of 2 others. The note reads VIP hold released. No reason is written. The earlier tickets have no note." Ava turns to the older woman. "Ma'am, you mentioned feeling moved behind on past visits. Would you share a thought?" The woman folds her hands. "I love this brand," she says. "I don't want anyone scolded. I just want to understand why someone who just walked in goes first while I wait. If there's a real reason, please say it so I don't feel invisible." Nora clears her throat. "I try to help everyone," she says. Sometimes I'm told to focus on ready buyers. I don't always know what that means. I follow instructions, but it feels wrong when kindness slows. She looks at the older woman. I'm sorry for any time that happened with me. Ava describes the online test. Under my first name, the system said no slots today for a test drive, she says. Under a second name, same model and time, it said there is a spot. She pauses. That could be a bug or a filter we don't intend. Either way, it needs care. Derek leans in. We get a lot of fake leads, he says. We can't spend energy on every request. Sometimes we spot names that look less likely. The sentence trails off. The room grows quiet. Louise studies the floor, Nora's hands tighten. Our way, Jenna says, warm but firm, is not to guess who is worthy. We welcome, verify safely, and give the same path to every guest. If we're too busy, we add staff or adjust hours. We do not adjust respect. I want one more voice with us, Ava says. Renee from Regional HR is nearby. Jenna sends a text. Minutes later, Renee enters with a kind smile and a tablet. I'm here to listen, she says. She greets each person by name and thanks the older woman for speaking up. Renee asks short, clear questions. To Louise, how do notes get added? What slows that down? To Nora, what training did you receive about test drives and who to prioritize? To the receptionist, what policy pages do you have for guests? She listens closely. Then she turns to Derek. Please walk us through your choices this morning, she says. Derek sits straighter. We have limited cars and many lookers, he says. I protect the store from joy rides. I move serious buyers first. If someone seems like they only want to browse, we guide them to the website. This is how I hit targets. Renee opens the handbook on her tablet. All guests receive equal access to information, test drives, and service scheduling, within safety and legal guidelines. Staff may not prioritize based on personal assumptions, she reads. This is our rule. Ava takes a slow breath. She sets a small security fob and a thin badge on the table. My name is Ava Morgan, she says. I lead this company. I visited today as any guest would, with no announcement. I asked for a service check and a test drive and was denied both without a fair reason. I watched other guests receive them within minutes. I asked for our policy and received a flyer. I tested our site and saw different answers for the same request. The first reaction is soft. The receptionist exhales. Nora's shoulders drop. Louise nods. Derek's smile flickers and fades, his tablet screen goes dark, then wakes in his hands. I am not looking for a scene, Ava says. I am looking for clarity and repair. We can make mistakes. We cannot keep them once we see them. We can do better starting today. Here is what we will do in the next hour, Renee says. I will pull this morning's logs and notes. Jenna will print the handbook sections about test drives and service order. We will confirm the queue history and the online form results. We will ask each of you to describe, simply and honestly, what you did and why. We are not here to shame. We are here to fix. Derek clears his throat. If I had known, he begins. Ava lifts a gentle hand. I do not want special treatment because of my title, she says. I want the treatment we promise to every person who walks in. The older woman smiles, small and hopeful. Nora nods. Louise looks at the digital board and starts planning better notes. Ava closes her notebook. Let's take 10 minutes, she says. Renee will review the log. Jenna will make copies. Please think about one step you would change today to make this place fairer and kinder, something we can do now. They rise. The receptionist prints pages. Jenna gathers them into neat stacks. Renee scrolls through entries, marking times and gaps. Luis checks a car and assures a waiting guest he will keep them updated. Nora opens the wait list and begins to add clear notes for order and exceptions. Derek taps his tablet and looks at the morning's decisions. Ava stands near the poster by the door and studies it like a blueprint. She thinks of the young mother who left and the couple who had a joyful test drive. A promise only lives when it is practiced. The clock reaches the hour. Ava nods to Jenna, and they return to the chairs. The team follows and takes their places. When we return to the conversation, Ava says, "I will ask each of you to share your choices today, on the record, kindly and honestly. Then we will decide, together, the next steps." The room settles into a quiet that feels like courage. The break is almost over. The questions are ready. The answers will come. Everyone takes a breath. The team returns to the lounge after the short break. The air feels clear, like the room has opened a window. Ava sits with her notebook closed now. She is not collecting more notes, she is ready to listen. Jenna sets neat stacks of printed pages on the table. Renee holds her tablet with the morning's log open to the right time. Derek takes a seat across from Ava, his tablet screen bright under the lights. Nora sits to one side, hands folded around her small notepad. Luis stands near the edge of the group, close enough to answer, far enough to stay out of the way. Ava starts with a soft voice. She reminds everyone of the plan, short, simple statements of what each person did and why. "We will be fair and kind," she says. "We will stick to facts. Then we will decide the right steps." She turns to the receptionist first. The receptionist explains her part of the morning. She welcomed guests, checked the schedule, printed the only policy page she could find, and looked to Derek for guidance on any exception. Her voice wavers once, but she keeps it steady. "I tried to be polite to everyone," she says. "I am sorry if anyone felt turned away." Ava thanks her sincerely. "Thank you for caring for people," she says. "Your tone matters." Next, Ava nods to Nora. The young associate sits straighter. She explains that she offered to help with a demo slot and a waitlist check. She says she was told to protect inventory and to avoid overbooking. She admits that fear of making a mistake slowed her down. "I wanted to help," she says. "But I did not want to go against my manager." She looks at the older woman and says, "I am sorry for any moment that felt unkind. I will do better." Ava gives her a small, warm smile. "I saw your kindness," Ava says. "We will make sure your kindness has clear support." Luis shares next. His words are careful and calm. He explains that he wanted to look at the warning light but needed manager approval for any add-on. He tried to ask at the office door and was waved off because the manager was busy. He offered first thing tomorrow to a working customer who needed a quick check for his truck. "I want to help everyone," he says. "I also want to respect the process. It is easier to do both when the process is clear." Ava nods. "Thank you for your steady care," she says. "We will make the process clear." Finally, Ava looks to Derek. His voice is even at first. He says the showroom was busy, the flagship model is limited, and there are many people who come only to browse. He says he tries to focus on guests who are ready to buy and to protect the cars from unnecessary drives. He uses the phrase "serious buyers" again. Then he says he made a few fast calls to keep targets on track. He glances at the couple who test drove earlier and smiles. "We have to move quickly," he adds. "We cannot give everything to everyone." Renee lifts her tablet and speaks in a gentle tone. "Thank you, everyone," she says. "Now I will share what we found in the logs." She points to the digital entries. At 8:46, Ava's service request was received and marked "no availability" without a queue entry. At 9:11, a walk-in test drive for the flagship model was approved and keys were released. At 9:28, a service ticket moved ahead of others with a note that reads VIP hold released, but there is no reason written. At 9:52, the same flagship model was booked again for a walk-in test drive. Renee turns to the printed pages Jenna brought from the handbook. She reads the lines on equal access and clear notes for any exception. The words are simple and clear. Everyone can understand them. Ava describes the online test, in the same careful tone she used earlier. Under her name, the system had no slots for that model today. Under a second name, the system showed a spot and promised a call. Jenna adds that she checked the lead source tags and found that certain first names were flagged differently by a local filter that was meant to sort spam but was not tested well. It may be a tool problem, Jenna says. But a tool problem that changes access is still a people problem, and we must fix it. The older woman asks softly if she may show a short clip. Ava nods. The woman plays a quiet video from a past visit. In it, she asks if her car is ready, and a staff member says it will be a bit longer. Then, through the glass, a new guest arrives and is greeted with bright energy and taken ahead. The clip ends. The woman closes her phone and says, "I do not want anyone in trouble. I only want to feel seen." For a moment, the room is very still. It is not a heavy stillness. It is the stillness of people hearing something true. Ava's voice is calm, kind, and firm. "Thank you," she says to the woman. "Your words help us repair." She turns to Derek. "I gave you this morning to make a case for your choices. I listened with care. I asked for a clear rule that matched the choices. I did not hear one." She glances at Renee's tablet. The log shows uneven access. The notes are missing when an exception helps one guest and not another. The printed page given to a guest does not show a real policy. The online form behaves differently for the same request. And when I asked for help, I was guided away, while others with the same request were welcomed. Derek looks down at his tablet. He starts to speak and stops. He says he wanted to protect the store and keep the best cars ready for right buyers. He says he meant no harm. He says he can do better if given more time. Ava listens without interrupting. Then she takes a slow breath. "I believe you did not mean harm," she says. "But the result caused harm to trust. We are a company that promises respect to every customer. We are a team that gives equal access within safety rules. Today, our promise was broken in this store." Renee speaks with steady care. "Based on evidence and our policy," she says, "this is a conduct issue. The right step is separation." She looks at Derek with genuine respect. "We will be professional and humane. HR will handle the paperwork. We wish you well in your next chapter." Derek's shoulders drop. He nods once, as if absorbing a wave. He sets his tablet down, signs the forms Renee places before him, and quietly stands. He thanks the team, thanks Luis, and leaves with an HR escort through the side door. There is no scene. There is only a clear line between what was and what should be. Ava remains seated for a moment, letting the room breathe. Then she stands and turns to the guests in the lounge. She speaks to everyone within earshot. "I am sorry for what you experienced here today," she says, her voice warm and steady. "This is my store. The promise on that wall is my promise. We did not keep it this morning. We will start keeping it now." She invites any guest who felt delayed or brushed off to come to the listening desk, which Jenna and the receptionist have set up near the coffee station with water, paper, pens, and a small sign that says "We are here to listen." It is not fancy. It is friendly and real. Ava announces a few immediate changes, so everyone can hear. First, the queue order will be posted clearly on the board and printed for anyone who asks. Any change to order will include a short, plain reason, parts, safety, time window, or urgent travel. Second, Test drive steps for every model will be printed and placed on the showroom table: license check, insurance check, route and keys process. Third, any guest who was turned away today will receive a priority slot and a fee waiver for basic checks. The receptionist begins making a list. Nora prepares simple forms. Louise nods and adjusts the day's flow. Then Ava sets near-term fixes. She asks Jenna to place a sign-up sheet for a brief Respect First training at 4 in the afternoon. It will be short and practical. She asks Renee to order a dedicated hotline card for staff and customers who want to report concerns or ideas without fear. She asks Louise to serve as interim service lead for the rest of the day, to keep the queue fair and the notes clear. Louise hesitates for 1 second, then says yes with quiet confidence. Nora is asked to help guests at the listening desk and to shadow the process, so she can learn and then teach others. The older woman in the scarf steps to the listening desk and writes 1 sentence on a card: "Please tell me why a change happens, so I do not feel forgotten." She looks lighter after she writes it. A young couple signs up for a later test drive and thanks Nora for her patient help. The receptionist calls the young mother with the stroller, whose number she has from check-in. She says, "If you are still nearby, we can do a quick tire check now, with our apology." The mother says she will return in 20 minutes. The promise on the wall feels a little more real. Ava walks to the service bay and checks on the team. She thanks the techs for their steady work. She tells them, "When you need an exception for safety, do it, and leave a note in plain words. If anyone questions it, I will back you up." Louis smiles at that. He points to a line on the board where a truck will go first due to a time-sensitive job. "Simple reason, simple words," he says. "Everyone can see it?" Ava nods. This is what fairness looks like when it wears work boots. Back in the showroom, Jenna prints small tabletop signs with a QR code for direct feedback to headquarters. The sign text is simple: "Tell us how we did today." Your message goes straight to the CEO's team. Nora places the signs near the brochures and by the coffee stand. The receptionist posts the test drive steps in a clear plastic frame. People read them and nod. The room tone changes from guarded to open. Renee returns with a short checklist for the next 2 weeks. It includes a review of the online lead filter that behaved differently for similar requests, a quick training on queue notes, a refresher on greeting standards for walk-ins, and a schedule for weekly mystery guest visits to check that the promise stays true. Ava approves it on the spot. "We will be consistent," she says. Not loud. Consistent. The team seems to stand a little taller. Before lunch, Ava holds a brief stand-up with everyone on shift. She thanks them for speaking honestly and acting quickly. She repeats the sentence she cares about most: "Respect is our first product." She lets the words sit in the quiet. Then she adds a next step that is small but strong: "We will call back any guest who left earlier today and invite them to return. If they come back, we will listen first, serve next." The receptionist picks up the phone list again. Nora offers to make those calls too, with a gentle voice. As the stand-up ends, the showroom looks different even though nothing big has changed in the furniture. The difference is in the faces. People look at guests and at each other with more attention. The older woman lingers, sipping water, watching the small changes become real. Louise moves between the bay and the desk with a clear plan. Nora greets a new walk-in and explains the test drive steps like a friend. The receptionist checks the board and smiles when the lines move in fair order. Ava walks to the glass wall and looks at the flagship model she asked to drive in the morning. She does not need that drive now. She needed this reset more. She sends a short message to all store leaders, 1 line long: "Fair access, clear notes, kind tone, start now." Then she asks the receptionist to please reach the young mother again, just to be sure she can find parking when she returns. The receptionist says she already sent directions. The day feels different. Not perfect. Better. Ava gathers her notebook and keeps it closed. The time for notes is done. The time for action has started. She turns to Jenna and says softly, "This afternoon, let's host a short listening circle right here." Jenna nods. "I'll set it up." Ava smiles. "Good. And please ask the team to call back the guests who left this morning. Tell them the CEO would like to hear them today." Chairs are set in a gentle circle near the showroom lounge. The coffee station has been cleared to make space for cups of water, a small bowl of mints, and a simple sign that reads, "Listening Circle, everyone's voice matters." Jenna places a stack of index cards and pens on the side table. The receptionist brings a box of tissues, not for tears, but because care shows up in small ways. Luis wipes his hands and takes a seat at the edge of the circle, still close enough to the service bay if someone calls. Nora sits near the front, her notepad open and ready. Renee stands nearby with her tablet, prepared to note actions and owners for each item. Ava walks in last, not to make an entrance, but to show that she is present with everyone, not above them. Ava thanks the group for making time in the middle of a busy day. Her voice is warm and steady. She explains simple guidelines: one person speaks at a time, we keep our comments short and clear, we aim for respect, and we end each point with one thing that could make the experience better. No speeches, she says with a small smile. Just real stories and real steps we can act on today. People nod. The older woman in the scarf sits with her hands folded on her lap, calm and ready. The young mother with the stroller has returned and joins quietly with a grateful look. The working customer with the truck stands at the back at first, then takes a chair when Luis waves him over. The first voice in the circle is the older woman. She speaks simply. "I like your cars," she says. "I like the way some people greet me. I do not like when I wait without knowing why. It makes me feel small." She suggests one clear fix: when the order changes, tell people in plain words. Even a short line helps, she adds. Just say, "We moved a truck ahead because of a work deadline," or "We're waiting for a part, and it will take 10 more minutes. Then I can relax." Renee types the note and assigns ownership to the service desk, plain language reasons, posted and said out loud. The young mother shares next. She says she was turned away this morning and felt nervous because she has a long drive later. If someone had said, "We can check one tire for you now, just to be safe," I would have felt seen, she explains. She also points to a small thing she noticed: there is no corner for children to sit while a parent talks to staff. Even a little basket of crayons would help, she says with a hopeful smile. Jenna writes quick wins: crayons plus small kids corner. Nora circles it on her notepad and whispers she will bring supplies from the storage closet. The working customer with the truck clears his throat. "I get that you're busy," he says. "I just need to know if I should wait or come back. Straight talk helps me plan." He adds a simple idea: a 2-line text from the service bay when the queue changes. "Don't make it fancy," he says. "Just say what's happening." Luis nods and says they can turn on the quick text feature right now. Renee captures the owner, Luis and the service team. Timeline: today. A guest who had a happy test drive speaks as well. His experience was smooth, but he says he could see that others did not have the same path. "I like your cars," he says, "but I also want to like how you treat people." He suggests posting the test drive steps on the table, the same steps for everyone. Nora points to a framed sheet she already placed earlier: license check, insurance check, quick route map, return, and debrief. "Good," he says. "That makes me trust you." Ava listens to each voice with full attention. She thanks each speaker and repeats their key request back to them, so they feel heard and so the team can act. She looks to Renee, who reads the growing action list in short phrases: plain language reasons for queue changes, a kids corner basket, quick text updates, test drive steps posted, and a gentle standard for greeting every walk-in within 2 minutes, even if the first contact is "Hello, I see you, I'll be right with you." The room energy steadies. People are not waiting for a speech. They are watching steps form in real time. Ava turns to the staff. "Now your turn," she says. "What would help you do this well every day?" The receptionist asks for 2 things, a simple policy binder at the front desk and permission to call a quick huddle when the room feels out of balance. "Sometimes I sense it," she says. "I want to reset the tone before it slips." Ava agrees, "You have that permission now." Nora asks for a mentor and a short weekly session where staff practice tricky moments with friendly feedback. "I want to help," she says. "I just want to be sure I am doing it the right way." Luis asks for one clear rule: when safety or urgent work requires changing the order, the service lead can act and must leave a note in plain words. "We can do that," Ava says. "And we will back you up." Jenna steps out for 5 minutes and returns with a small plastic bin. Inside are crayons, paper, 2 simple storybooks, and a packet of wipes. She places the bin next to the lounge chairs and adds a little sign, "Kids Corner." The young mother smiles with relief. This tiny thing changes the feeling of the room. Nora adds a few stickers from the storage closet. The receptionist laughs softly. "We should have done this long ago," she says. Renee reports a quick fix from IT: the online lead filter that sorted certain first names differently is now turned off. She tested the same request twice, same model, same time, and got the same answer both times. "We will review the filter design this week," she says, "and we will only turn it back on if it is fair and transparent." Ava nods. "Thank you," she says. "Access should never depend on a guess." She tells the group what matters most: tools do not make decisions, people do. "If a tool creates unfair results, we change the tool," she says. "That is our responsibility." Ava invites one more step: recognition. She turns to Luis. "Today you showed steady care," she says. "You stayed kind even when the process slowed you down. I am naming you service lead for this store." The team claps, not loud, but real. Luis smiles, surprised and grateful. Ava then turns to Nora. "You kept your heart open and told the truth," she says. "I am giving you a mentorship plan, with paid training and a bonus for the work you do to help us reset. You will shadow Luis and take on a teaching role for new staff." Nora's eyes grow bright. She nods with both hands on her notepad as if to steady the moment. Ava also thanks the receptionist for grace under pressure and gives her a small appreciation bonus for being the steady first face guests see. Ava outlines a few wider steps that will outlive this day. First, she launches a Respect First pledge across all locations. The pledge will hang near each entrance with a QR code that sends feedback straight to her team. "If we fall short, tell us," she says. "If we do well, tell us that too, so we learn what to repeat." Second, she establishes a monthly community advisory circle with rotating guests from the neighborhood: teachers, small business owners, parents, and retirees. "You tell us what good service means to you," she says, "and we will listen." Third, she funds 2 scholarships with the local technical college for service trainees from underrepresented backgrounds, with paid internships at the dealership. "We grow trust by growing people," she says simply. The older woman in the scarf nods with quiet pride. Before the circle ends, Ava invites any last thoughts. A guest suggests adding a next steps board near the front, where staff list 3 active improvements for the week. "People like to see progress," he says. Jenna finds a small whiteboard in the back office and mounts it by the coffee stand. She writes the first 3 items in clear letters: plain reasons for queue changes live today, quick text updates live today, Kids Corner live today. It is small, but it shines with honesty. The circle closes with thanks and handshakes. Then the day moves on: cars in, cars out, Questions, answers, steady work. The young mother returns with her stroller. Louise checks the tires and adds air while the baby fingers a crayon. The working customer gets his quick look with a short, clear note on the board: moved first due to job deadline, safety. The guest who enjoyed the test drive buys coffee for the listening desk and says he will come back with a friend. The receptionist calls the guests who left earlier and invites them back, sharing that the store is making changes today. Some say yes. One says she is busy, but she appreciates the call. Please try us again, the receptionist says gently. We will be ready for you. In the afternoon, Renee runs the short Respect First training. It is not fancy. She acts out 2 greeting styles, one flat, one kind, and asks the team which one felt better. She shows how to give a reason for a delay in 10 words or fewer. She practices the phrase, I see you, I'll be right with you, with everyone. People laugh a little. Practice makes it easier to be brave. The team signs the pledge and tapes it near the entrance, next to the QR code for feedback. A guest scans it and sends a note: I felt welcome today. The message goes straight to Ava's team. Jenna reads it and smiles. Late afternoon light slides across the showroom floor. The pace calms but does not slow to a stop. The whiteboard by the coffee stand has 3 checkmarks next to the live today items. Nora adds a 4th, post-test drive steps live today. Customers glance at the board and nod. They do not need long speeches. They like seeing simple promises kept. Toward closing, the older woman in the scarf sits again, not because she needs service now, but because she wants to see the ending of this day. She watches a team member explain a delay with kind words, watches a tech add a note to the queue in plain language, watches the receptionist greet a walk-in with a bright, hello, I see you. She opens her phone and writes a short post: I saw a store listen and fix things today. Small steps, real changes. It is not a viral post. It is better. It is believable. Ava walks the floor one more time. She stops at the service bay to thank the techs. She stops by the kids' corner and puts the crayons back in the bin with a smile. She stops at the listening desk and reads a few note cards: tell me why, greet me fast, fair order, thank you for the tire check. She feels the day like a small, steady heartbeat. Not loud, not flashy, real. Jenna stands beside her and gives a quiet thumbs up. Online reviews are starting to notice the tone of the store, not just the shine on the cars. As the sun dips, Ava gathers the team for a 3-minute huddle. She keeps it simple. Today was not about a firing, she says. It was about a promise. You kept it. Keep keeping it. She thanks Louise for taking the lead, thanks Nora for brave kindness, thanks the receptionist for steady care, and thanks every tech for clear notes that any guest can understand. We will make mistakes, she adds. We will correct them faster than before. Before she leaves, Ava sends one line to all store leaders across the company: respect is our first product. It is the same line she wrote earlier, now delivered with fresh meaning. She adds 3 bullets below it: fair access, clear notes, kind tone. She hits send. The showroom lights dim. The poster near the door, the one that says respect every customer, seems less like a slogan and more like a daily plan. The whiteboard holds 4 checkmarks. The kids' corner bin is tidied. The cue board is clear and honest. The hotline number is printed on small cards by the exit. The last guests step into the evening air with easy faces. Ava pauses at the glass, looking out at the row of cars. She does not feel triumph. She feels trust beginning again, like a door that opens without a squeak. She thinks of the early days when one kind conversation could make a week. It still can. She turns to Jenna and says softly, tomorrow, we do it again. Jenna nods. The team waves good night. The day ends not with noise, but with quiet confidence, the kind that grows when a promise on a wall becomes a practice on the floor.